Hey everybody, Kimberly here, and I bet you've heard the fairy tale, The Three Little Pigs. Well, Castle Raisers is very loosely based on that, but definitely recreates that feel of building up your fortress or your walls to protect against the big bad wolves. And in this case, the big bad wolves come in this big red bag, which you draw from, and they will populate on one of three different sides of your walls. So, takes about 45 minutes to play and plays 1 to 4. So there is a solo play, there is a nice 2-player variant that works incredibly well, and you can also play competitively or cooperatively. A lot of gameplay here for 1 to 4 players. So let me show you what's in the game. Players are going to have their individual playing board, and I think the really cool thing about this is the boards are slightly asymmetrical. You might not even be able to tell the difference if I showed you the boards side by side. So the thing that is different about every player board is that these starting icons around the perimeter or the walls of your building are in slightly different places based on which player board you have. Everything else is the same. You have 4 symbols that are in the center here that will activate as bonuses, and you'll have 3 separate locations, green, yellow, and blue. So I just wanted to show you that because it does make it a little bit more dynamic for the start play when you've got different icons, the same icons in different locations. So there's this really nice little chubby wooden pig that is the start player. Over here is the open market for tiles and buildings that you can then build into these hexes right here. There is a limited number of hexes. And up here are the wall selection. Now, the game flow is really easy. Here's our player aid card. Draft and activate each player on their turn. There are 3 rounds of the game, and every round has several turns that players will take. So you are going to, on your turn, choose 1 remaining face-up wall tile and then place the wall tile overlapping and flat with 2 tiles underneath. Activate the abilities of covered icons, and if there are 2, you get to do them in any order. And then that will essentially end your turn. So let's do that. Let's just essentially get started. There is a setup phase that I haven't done yet where players get to pick one of these tiles and place it in their little piggy space. And you've got to make sure that every player draws 2 wolves for every outside space. So let's do that. I actually want to take one of these tiles. So what you do here is you look at simply the icons and you will look in the rule book for essentially what that scores. And every time you see a number past the slash, it means that you are going to get that many victory points for what's on the other side. Let's just go with this guy. I'm going to put him here and I'm going to put him in this space right there. Everybody else is going to take 1 before we refill, but let's say everyone has taken 1 and we repopulate. I'm essentially going to be receiving 3 points for these green tiles. That's what that symbol is right there. You'll see it matches. So the green tiles are going to give me victory points if they're in that particular section. So you'll also see that there are lines here that help remind you where the separations are for blue, yellow, and green. Now let me draw my wolves, and there's going to be a variety of wolves. They aren't all the same. So up here I've got 2 sword wolves. Those are pretty basic. They're not anything special or anything. Oh my gosh, I got a guy with a ladder. Ladders are not good. Ladders at the end of the game help all the wolves climb your wall no matter how tall it is. And there we go. I knew I was going to get one of those archers. Archers are going to essentially shoot over your wall, and they're going to leave these arrows in your house. And these arrows are going to be negative points. So there's going to be ways for me to try to fight against the wolves. But right now, I've got these wolves sitting out there, standing outside my little house, ready to essentially break down the walls. But I'm ready for that very first turn. I look out here and I see 1 of 4 tiles that are available to me. Now, these are going to be the tiles for age 1. It's the straw, right? To kind of follow the fairy tale story. Starts with straw, goes to wood, and then it ends with stone, hopefully building up your walls as tall and as strong as possible. You'll see here age 1, Then we do a night phase, age 2, night phase, age 3, night phase. So every one of these you're going to have for a round is 4 tiles. So there's a next round, and then there's the next one and the next one. So players are going to have 4 turns in that very first age 1 phase of the game. So this is going to be the first. I take one of those and I place it into my player area, and it must overlap a line, meaning I can't put something flush line to line, and there must always be a base or foundation underneath it. So this, what you see, will not activate until you place something on top of that. So this game has that kind of feel of when you place something down, you're always thinking about what you're looking at, but it's really what you're covering up. So if I take something right here, I'm essentially trying to plan for the future, and this allows me to draw a tile from out here of any color, and this allows me to pour kind of cauldron water on wolves that allow me to attack them essentially. Now, if you cover up any of these symbols, I want to talk about what those basic 4 are, just with the abilities section right here, the card, the competitive card. And I think what I want to do is cover this up right here. I'm going to go right across that line. You'll see there's the line, and I'm going to go right there. So I'm covering up the cauldron, and the cauldron says I'm going to look into my cauldron space, and I'm going to count however many cauldrons I have in this particular region, which in this case, it's just 1. I have a power of 1. I can essentially knock off one of these wolves back into the bag. And done. That is exciting. So here we go. Pour 1 cauldron for each cauldron symbol in the same action section. Done and done. That's it. So again, these are going to be the actions. I've already talked about this, choosing a village token, and then you place it on top of your any empty location. It can be face up or face down at the top of the stack. For every one of these symbols that you activate, you'll take the mother pig, which is going to be first player marker, and then you take a prestige token for every symbol and place them in your section. These are the little piggies, and I have a piggy symbol here and then a piggy symbol in the center. So when I cover this one up, I will essentially be taking 2 piggies and putting them in my woods area because I count the ones in my woods area. So my next turn, I might want to do that because I've got a tile that essentially says I get more for that, and it's going to be really good. I love it. And I take a little piggy symbol. This one says place a fortification for each symbol in the same section. Everyone starts with 1 fortification. These are the fortifications. And they will essentially not cover up any of your symbols, but give you a level boost. So it always gets you essentially 1 level higher while still allowing you to activate what's underneath it. And it just builds your wall faster and more efficiently. Here, the last one is the attack. And it says reveal 1 attack token. And then for each symbol in your section, right, one of the 3, all other players draw a wolf token and place it in the region shown in the attack token. So here's the attack tokens over here, and you simply just randomly draw 1. This one says it's going to be the yellow wolf section, and I count my number of attack swords here. Then I will have everybody else at the table draw 1 and place it in their yellow section. And that's it. Those are the 5 symbols. Those are what you're going to do. Everybody else in turn order is going to take one of the remaining tiles. Then we replace these. We put these new ones out, and we are going to start with whoever has the piggy, drawing tiles, building up and adding to our walls, activating any number of actions. And the key here, again, is simply to count the number of those symbols. Everyone always has a base of 1, but you might have tiles that add to that particular base value. Now, there's something really cool that happens at the end of the age, so I want to show you what that is. It says here, resolve these 2 effects. Each visible cauldron symbol on your wall will pour a value, and you will defeat wolves during the nighttime phase at the end of each of the 3 ages. And after that, you will then take an arrow token for every arrow or ranged attack wolf, which is this one. So I definitely want to have on this space over here one of these cauldron symbols showing so that I can essentially shoot at it, or I need to kill it ahead of time because it will then shoot an arrow into my house and it will leave, and this will be negative point right there. -1 point for every arrow. Yikes. Okay. Then we reveal the tiles and we move on to the new age and we do all 3 of those. And then we get to the end of the game, essentially. There is a marker sheet here. There's a really, really fun way to score how many wolves essentially siege your house. And there is a ranking order. You essentially want to have the fewest wolves remaining. And as high as your wall is, you get to not count a wolf for every height of your wall. But again, the ladder wolves will raise a ladder and let every single wolf in, no matter how high your wall is. So by the end of the game, you want your ladder wolves to be gone. By the end of the round, you want your arrow or your ranged wolves to be gone, which I just mentioned those. They shoot arrows. And then there's a fourth kind of wolf that I haven't seen yet. Aha, here they are. These guys are just particularly hard to kill. It takes them 2 points to kill. So these are really, really strong, and those are going to be the 4 different types of wolves that you see in the bag. So, very, very fun, very, quick turns. I think the only twist to this game is that you receive the action of what you're covering up, not the action of what's on top of your wall. And you are simply building your wall up and up and up, higher and higher, trying to manage the onslaught of wolves attacking you, either by other players triggering them or them just essentially acting at the end of each round and of course at the end of the game. So here's that sheet that I was talking about. This is going to be each one of the areas and how many wolves were remaining. You will have pecking order of essentially negative points, or you'll gain points based on how well you did. And if so it's -10 and -5, and then there is a 0 essentially if nobody got through or you were the best of the group. And you'll do that for all 3. You have -1 point for arrows, 2 points for every little piggy head. 3 points for each battle that you activated. You take the token that you used and you get to put it in your little battle area because you started an attack and get 3 points. Your highest level wall on whichever side you check will give you 5 points per level. And then you are going to score each village tile, and that's what this is going to be. So when you look at those village tiles, you're going to score all of them. And keep in mind, your village tiles are going to be going into specific locations, but there are 3 spaces where your tile will count twice because it is crossing a line. So if you get this one and you put it here, I will get 1 more point for every piggy head in this space and in this space because it is across the line between green and blue. So that's really, really cool. You want to strategize where you're doing things and how well you're taking advantage of it. So if I put this out first and then I score this pig, I get 1, 2, 3. I'll take 3 heads and put that in there if I'm doing that as an action because I'm covering up that piggy right there. Like so. So cool, so cool, so cool. And these, every player on their turn will have 8 different ones to pick from, and of course you can always take from the top. So the competitive version of this is really fun. It's light. It doesn't feel as bad as it sounds when you say I'm going to attack, because players will have opportunities to take tiles that will allow them to attack everybody else at the table. So there's this kind of like push and pull, and there are ways to defend against it. If you're not attacking with your attack getting those points, you're actually doing other things that gain you victory points as well. So A, it doesn't feel too bad, and B, you're probably doling it out as much as you are receiving it. And the cooperative version is fun if you don't want to have that conflict at the table where players are simply just attacking you and you feel like it's unfair. There is the cooperative version. The 2-player variant is dynamite, and there is a solo play where you are working against a particular chart of points to see how well you do. So if you have a chance, check out Castle Razors. Delightful game, well-made components, and just enough of that kind of like brain tug where you're activating what you cover up, which you can't see anymore, and then you're thinking about future turns by taking those tiles and placing them down. So just enough right there. There's some nice bag draw with the wolves, and there are some lovely actions with those tiles that you place as your village tiles in the center. There's just enough going on here. I think all the elements that are included are needed, they're necessary, they work together incredibly well. Nothing is left out and nothing is added that I think would be better without. I will say for first-time players, do not underestimate fortification tiles. They seem just not that exciting, but they are incredibly helpful. So do not forget about those, and if you do remember those, you'll have a leg up on your competition. Okay, folks, I'll see you later. Bye.